Hey everybody! As you can see, I have a partner in crime right now. She is little and she is furry. Her name is Smokey. Hey, sorry about that everybody. I have to introduce you to the thing that you'll sometimes hear when I'm filming where I am right now. And hey, if anybody's wanting to know what this is again, it's Sunday Funday. And we finally get to a movie that I'm really looking forward to. And that, of course, is Captain America 3. Or Captain America Civil War, since I guess Marvel is a little gun shy over the fact their last movie with a numerical number in it, a real big numerical number, wasn't really good. Of course, talking about Iron Man 3. Ugh. So, hey, maybe this one will be good. Even though Marvel's track records with sequels hasn't always been that great, at least to some people. It's like, I actually kind of enjoy Iron Man 2. Sorry, there's something in my eye, but back to what I was saying. But I actually kind of enjoy Iron Man 2. Avengers 2 is really good in my mind. And there's some days where I'm like, oh, it's better than the first one. And then there is, I'm like, nah, it's inferior. I'm kind of flip-floppy with that one. But I still rather enjoy it. Sorry, my cat is going to beg for attention, even though I've been petting her all day. Well, except for, obviously, when I went to go see this movie. Because, obviously, this is not a short movie. But, hey, long movies can be good. I mean, look at Lord of the Rings. Look at Titanic. Look at Batman vs. Superman. I will go ahead and say it's like, before going into this movie, I was incredibly pumped for it. As anybody can attest, as you can see on my feet, everything. I don't know if that was really clear, but maybe it was. But I'm a huge Marvel fan. Yeah, some can say, oh, you're a fanboy. It's not to the point, though, I can't say that Marvel does bad things. I mean, I can admit that Iron Man 3 was a very mediocre movie. Well, it was like a movie of two halves. Like, one really good first half and a god-awful second half, which kind of just made a meh for the end of everything. But more than anything, like, beyond just, obviously, that I love Marvel, I do love comic books. I love, actually, the stories that happen in them. I love seeing where they're going to take these characters. Sorry, there is something in my eye, people. People are like, oh, quit messing your face. Oh, there's something bugging me. But I do love these storylines. I love seeing where they're going to go. I love seeing what's going on with these characters and what's happening with them. And it's really enjoyable to see them transitioning, for the most part, especially the Marvel films, very well. I mean, it's very good to actually see them do something that's feels like it's actually trying to be respectful to the source material, but still do its own thing. I mean, to be matter of factly, this is pulling from the Ultimates universe, which, love it or hate it, it has its good qualities and it has its bad. And it also pulls from the original Earth 666 trilogy. I'm sorry, I'm pulling up a blank. I was like, what is that universe called again? At least in the Marvel universe? Anybody who actually has done any kind of actual watching or reading, actually, the stories that take place in the different universes, will tell you they're pretty much infinite, which is actually kind of cool, but hey. Now, with all that aside, what did I think of this movie? Sorry, my brain's a little scattered. This thing's trying to distract me. I know she is. That's usually why she's staying here. But what did I think of Captain America 3? What did I think of the Civil War that we have been having just pounded down our throats and told this is going to be the next big thing? What was I thinking about? What did I think of it? Honestly, it's really damn good. I will say, it's hard to exactly describe it and try to put it in a good sense to people and compare it to one movie or another. One, because comic book movies haven't been super successful till as of the last 10, 15 years, if that much. Or at least continuously successful. People can point out the Richard Donner or Superman movies, the obviously Tim Burton Batman movies, but technically it's hard to say that there was continuous success because you'd have, oh, well, we're going to have this. Then we're going to have 1990 Captain America, which just killed my childhood. It felt like it felt horrible. But hey, it's nice to actually see comic book movies coming up and actually being able to be taken a little bit seriously. That being said, I don't want a movie where everybody's grim and serious, which I will go into a bit of a tangent here, is one of my major issues constantly with what Warner Brothers is doing with the DC Universe. I don't get why they're constantly taking this gritty approach or grim approach. It's just, it makes for just not very happy storylines. And when you have characters like Superman, who is supposed to be, I mean, in essence, he's a big blue Boy Scout, but that's one of the enjoyable characteristics of him. And you have Batman, who, yeah, he is a dark vigilante, but he's still not, just a complete or non-caring a-hole, just murders at whim. He has morals even to himself. He does have a levity to it, which Christopher Nolan films, they kept the darkness and really brooded upon it, but did have that levity of him not killing. Whole other issue with Superman vs. Batman, but that's more of a personal gripe. Bye. If somebody was not just gonna love on the tripod, so that way the whole thing can shake. Hopefully fix that up. But I have like that. Marvel has been trying to make them not relatable, but really they're understandable. Like Tony Stark, he created a suit. Steve Rogers, he was given a scientific jolt of steroids, pretty much. Thor, he's a Norse god who's actually technically an alien, but that's kind of hard to explain. But hey, they kind of just walk around it. But to be fair, it's like you can't really explain Thor. But with all that being said, it's like I've enjoyed that they have been able to take what, in all essence, if you break it down, very silly concepts, very silly characters, if you do not put any extra dimensions to them, and make them not just relatable, but also enjoyable. That's what I've loved about the Marvel series, what they have done so well. And then this movie came out, and I will go ahead and say it's like I've loved pretty much everything that has come out from Disney dealing with Marvel. Technically, I guess the only one I could say is Iron Man 3, because technically I think that was under Disney's watch, but it might have been like at the tail end of Paramount's major involvement. I know Paramount's owned by Disney, but here nor there. It was like one of the last times whenever it was not a full Disney production, pretty much, because regardless of who is headlining this, these are all Disney films. Which, better or worse, it's like, hey, we got a fucking awesome Star Wars movie out of it, so kudos. But I keep talking about everything but Captain America Civil War. I'm just saying it was awesome. I will say this is probably up there easily top 5 best Marvel movies, including Captain America Winter Soldier, which everybody agrees is just a phenomenal movie, and I will say it is one of the best Marvel movies. And because my own little bias, because I don't know if anybody's been able to see over in this area whenever we film Captain America. There's Captain America everywhere. I love Captain America. I love his character. I love how he's usually portrayed when it comes to this latest incarnation. That's the reason why 1990s Captain America makes me so angry. But I loved what they have done with the character with this incarnation, especially with what they did in Winter Soldier, where the first Captain America was an awesome movie. Really, it was kind of a goofy film. But it worked to its own extent because it's trying to set up the character who admittedly is a kind of difficult character to kind of set up without him being a big joke. Which is something, thankfully, Marvel's kind of stayed away from. Now, whenever they eventually did Winter Soldier, they tried to say, alright, well, what is he going to do when it's this world? How's he going to react to our oversecurity, our penchant for secrecy for no reason? And it was a phenomenal movie. It was just one of the best movies. I would say it's better than Avengers. And I know some people fight me tooth and nail. It's like, cool, I love that you loved Avengers. I loved Avengers. Winter Soldier was even better, though. Because somehow they included all these different characters. They included all of this happening, yet still made it a Captain America movie, which I just loved. And on top of everything, they told a story that is like, I kind of wasn't expecting that at all. Even though reading the comic books, you'd be like, oh yeah, that should happen. But they're taking certain events pretty much from the comic book series. Secret Invasion hasn't happened, but they've taken like the ideas of learning that, oh, S.H.I.E.L.D. was infiltrated by Hydra, and pretty much Hydra controls S.H.I.E.L.D. That was later on storylines. If I'm not mistaken, it happened in like 2007, maybe 2006. I can't remember exactly when. But it happened fairly recently in terms of storylines, even though this is fairly new in this universe. But it works it works how they wove it into there. They didn't make it so like, oh, well, this is a recent storyline, let's hammer it in. Which I feared they were going to do with Civil War here, because I liked the first bit of Civil War. There were some really good moments. There was some genuine sad moments. It was a genuinely good book for like the first 4, I would say, or so issues. And then it got dependent way too much on the crossovers. Sorry, I was drawing a blank on what the hell they were called. But it got way too dependent upon that. And then the ending was just totally unsatisfactory. It just didn't say to me, this is how Captain America would deal with this. So that's the reason why I was hesitant with this movie when I first heard about this. Started seeing trailers, I'm like, alright, it actually looks good. It's like, what are they going to do with it? How are they going to explain the Civil War happening? And I'm going to go ahead and say, spoilers. If you don't want me to spoil any more of this movie, go ahead and shut this off right now. Because I'm going to start talking about the actual plot of the film. But how pretty much the Civil War starts to come about is less because of a United States proposition, which always was a strange bit in the comics. Like, well, if it's the United States, who cares? Go Canada. Go to Mexico. Mexico might need some saving from cartels. But instead of it just being United States, it's a United Nations thing because of what happened in Avengers 2, which is, oh, that's a nice little continuity nod. And it turns out that because of that, and along with whenever the Avengers or not, yeah, well, they are the Avengers. It's Captain America at the beginning of this movie, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, and Falcon are all chasing down Crossbones. Those of you who do not know who Crossbones is from the comics, or don't know him from the movies, because he wasn't really introduced as Crossbones, he was the guy in the second Captain America movie who was pretty much like the bad kind of like assassin guy who kind of worked alongside Winter Soldier in a way. Awesome fighter in how he did his moves and everything. He made it look very visceral and very punchy. He does a really great job. Sorry, I'm stuttering. He's like, oh yes. And it's cool to actually see him pop back up, and they do explains like, oh well, he's been doing this, and he's like deformed because he pretty much blames Captain America for dropping a building on him. And then he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and he like lets off a bomb, and Scarlet Witch just tries to throw him, but with her powers, which pretty much can just do whatever they want. And I know some people are like, oh, that's not how Scarlet Witch is. Technically, that is her powers. Scarlet Witch has always been about chaos magic, and really chaos magic, it does whatever you need it to. It's a writer's ploy to just let her be able to have whatever powers she wants, but it does work out in a lot of instances with how she uses them. And I will say in this movie, they let her just fly with her plowers? Flowers, snow flowers. But no, they let her powers just shine throughout this. She's using them to good extent. It's very special effects heavy at points, but it's never to the point to where it feels like, oh, this should have been done with regular stuff. It's like, no, it's actual stuff that it needed to be this way, and also allows it to be a little bit more flashy. And this point, flashy actually works. But like I was saying, I'm far off track about effects and everything. But yeah, Crossbone's about to blow himself up and kill Captain America. Maybe, who knows? Because Captain America kind of has a healing factor in a way, but let's not even break into that. But she tries to throw him away, and he still blows up, and it blows up like part of a building. And here's instantly the point where I'm like, alright, I get this. Now I remember why I hated Warner Brothers. 2 fucking DC movies they've done. Immediately after that happens, the Avengers are torn about it. I mean, Captain America has a stutter in his voice, worse than even I stutter. He is actually torn about this. You can see everybody's just like, and it's like, oh yeah, these are people. These are beings. Hell, they have Vision in this movie, and he actually seems to have more emotion and more care and actually consideration towards everything than anything that Warner Bros. Has done with Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman. And it's such just a well done shot. Them just kind of sad about it, and they're blaming themselves over it, but at the same time they're like, well, we had to. It's like, and how would we have known? And even Captain America's kind of kicking himself, like, I should have known he would have done something like that. And he kind of blames himself, but at the same time he's not going to blame himself in the back. Oh, I totally need to be put in check. Which brings up the whole I'm sorry, but I cannot remember the name of the country, the fake country from the first or the second Avengers movie. Like Sokovia or something like that. But pretty much they make the Human Registration Act in a way that it means about any kind of superpowered person, being that comes about, needs to pretty much be a part of this, or they're going to be locked up. Which is a play on the whole Superhuman Registration Act from the comics. Now, I'm not going to keep comparing this to the comics because, honestly, this did what the comics should have done, and they were just, I don't know, Brian Michael Bendis or Joe Quesada, somebody was just too big of a pussy just to go ahead and just say, let it go all out. And instead they wanted to have Captain America pretty much give up. I spoiled the end of the comics that have been out for about 10 years now. But in this, Captain America sticks to his guns the whole time. He's like, we don't need to be policed. And he even brings up a good point. It's like, well, what about if they decide to say, oh, you need to go do this? We don't agree with that, though. Oh, well, you can't go save this country. Because pretty much it's what the United Nations, in a way, is trying to enforce upon them. It's actually a pretty good scene between him and Robert Downey Jr. Chris Evans, he's really trying to lay in his acting chops, and it works because Captain America is still a bit of a goody-good, but in a good way. He's very self-righteous in some way, but not in a point where you want to constantly punch him. It's points where you're like, I want to punch you because I know you're freaking right. And that's pretty much how Robert Downey Jr. and him are just sparring at each other verbally. And it really works. It is strange. I don't know why I never noticed it. Maybe because, sorry, I'm trying to remember the director's name. Everybody's going to scream at me about his name. I know. Oh, God, the guy who did freaking Serenity. What's his name? Oh, Joss Whedon. Or Joss Whedon. Sorry, I went blank on his name. But maybe it's because he never put a humongous emphasis on those two interactions, pretty much relationship with each other. Because they are really good friends, but it's very strained at times. It's very different viewpoints that are constantly butting heads against each other. And it really works in this movie. Maybe it is also nothing against Joss Whedon, but maybe it's also because he had to weave in together like all these other different characters. But sometimes I will somewhat call a little foul on that being a good excuse, because the Russo brothers, who did this movie and also Civil War, were able to do that here. They wove in all these different characters. And yes, some people can say, well, this isn't very much of a Captain America movie. Yeah, he's not in it a whole lot, but the plot is very contingent upon him. Everything is needing Cap to be there and needing him to start moving things. Now, that is for the good and but sometimes the detriment of the movie. Whenever Steve Rogers is not really around, you don't have a whole lot sometimes feeling like it's happening. That's not saying this movie is god awful and blah blah blah. Oh, it's the worst movie ever. But just that whenever, like for instance, everybody knows Spider-Man's in the movie. If you've seen a trailer, Spider-Man's in this movie. But whenever Tony Stark actually goes to recruit Spider-Man, it kind of feels like the movie's plot's technically going, let's stop for a little bit. But before I start railing on that and make it seem like it's the worst thing ever, it does feel like it stops, but it feels like it stops in a way that works. If that makes any sense. We're getting introduced to this new character. We're getting to see his mannerisms. We're getting to see how he's going to work with Tony Stark. And it's funny. It's really funny. I'm sorry if I can't remember the young kid's name. It's going to bug me, but the new guy who they have to play Spider-Man is, he's hilarious. He has a lot of Spider-Man's wit, his kind of awkwardness. That's kind of adorable. And really, it's enjoyable as can be to see him and Tony Stark talking to each other and just sitting there just showing off how smart they both are and how much they actually are superheroes. Like, Tony Stark really talks well about Spider-Man being a hero and saving people and stopping bad things from happening. And they do set up that Spider-Man really hasn't been in this universe very long, only about 6 months, which I think is a little bit of an inside joke, because if I'm not mistaken, like right before the shooting of this, it'd been like 6 months right beforehand. Sony's like, alright, we'll let Spider-Man be in Marvel movies, why not? Best decision I think Sony has made in a while. And it was, like I said, it does technically make the plot stop. But it doesn't do it in a way that I feel like, oh, this didn't need to be here, this could have been cut. Because I will say, this is a lengthy movie. It's a little over 2.5 hours long. But unlike Superman vs. Batman, or any of these other recent really long movies I can think of, the last Hobbit movie, Battle of the Five Armies, this doesn't feel its length at all. Like, this was over in a breeze. I was like, wow, this movie's done already. And there are some just tremendous set piece moments that any Call of Duty game wishes they had, and they wish they could pull it off as well, but they never will because they're too worried about shooting and you have to watch it and blah blah. Sorry, COD, you're never going to get the nuke moment again. Sorry, you're going to try it, but you're never going to have it again. But, like, there's the fight between Cap's team and Tony Stark's team, and it's so severely one-sided, because think about it, Iron Man, War Machine, Black Widow for the most part, Vision, Spider-Man, I want to say there was some Black Panther. Oh yeah, Black Panther just show up in this movie, and that's the weird thing. Like in this movie, that there's a couple of characters they had to introduce and explain a little bit, but they don't over-explain them, and it feels like, oh, we're going to learn more about them in Spider-Man. We're going to learn more about Black Panther in Black Panther, and I actually kind of love that. We get the introduction to these characters, and maybe we'll learn more about their backstory. Maybe we'll learn more about why they are superheroes. Beyond just, obviously, like Black Panther's whole mentality is revenge. But it's actually kind of good. But I'll get more into him in a second. But like I say, it's like there's a big showdown. Oh! Sorry. My phone went off there. But yeah, there's a big showdown between Cap's team and Tony Stark's team. You're like, ah, this is totally Tony Stark. He's gonna just wipe the floor with them. And sure enough, Cap's team actually kind of holds their own for a while, and you get to see some great things. Big spoiler: you get to see Giant Man, though technically Legos spoiled that. Yeah, you get to see Giant Man pop up and just beat the shit out of people. It's fun. And sure, technically you could probably say, oh, this didn't need to be there. It's like, maybe you could say that. You would think there'd be more reasoning, but if you really think about it from Tony Stark's perspective, he can't reason with Cap anymore. Cap's not listening to reason, and I don't blame Cap in the same instance. And that's one of the great things they managed to do in this movie that I gotta applaud the Russo brothers. I didn't feel like either side was just, oh, you're totally wrong. The bad thing about the comics was it did make me feel like, oh, Iron Man, you're a fucking idiot. That's stupid. This didn't make me feel that way, and even though I am Team Cap, of course, I gotta represent my boy. You know, I didn't feel like I hate Tony Stark at this point. I'm like, I understand him. There is just some really, really awesome parts. And strangely enough, it's like the action is incredibly memorable. Like right now, I'm just sitting there remembering the Team Cap versus Team Iron Man fight, and it's awesome in my head. But I am also remembering one of the final bits in this movie, which is to kind of spoil a few things. You learn that pretty much the person behind this all, in a way, and kind of engineering this, is Baron Zemo. Though it's Helmut Zimbo. And sure, it's a little far-fetched. I would say it's probably the weakest point. Is just, I think also the guy who's playing him, he's not exactly very charismatic like I think of Helmut Zemo. I think I'm saying the right name, but it's the son, obviously, of the original Baron Zemo from the comic books. And I will say, it's like, if you are not a fan of or if you've not read any of the comic books, some of this is going to go right over your heads. Which I will say, it's a little issue of the movie, but to be fair, there's so much they're having to put into this movie. There's so much they're trying to explain that if you try to go more into this guy and give his backstory and everything, you're going to get confused, or you're going to have the movie be even longer than it is, be like 3+ hours, if not more. So I will give them some credits, like they cut out what they had to, and unfortunately it was Zemo's backstory. Though, pretty much from the seams of it, we're going to get more Zemo, which I'm looking forward to. I'm really, really looking forward to. Straight up, Zemo, probably one of my favorite Captain America villains. I know everybody's is Red Skull. Red Skull is just straight up evil. Zemo is an evil that is somewhat understandable. And in here, they make him actually relatable in his own way. But what else is there that I was wanting to touch upon? Oh yeah, Black Panther and Spider-Man. Or actually, I touched on Spider-Man. But yeah, they do have to introduce, like I said, 3 characters. Spider-Man, they introduce, and they actually do a really good job. He's funny. He's exactly what I thought of as Spider-Man. It's like, you got Spider-Man right. You took what Amazing Spider-Man did, the first one did so well, and put it in here and made it even work even better. Yay! But hey, that's my own personal opinion. But then you have Black Panther. You have T'Challa, of course. And he's kind of basic wants and needs and everything. He's driven by revenge because he believes so. Obviously, if anybody has seen most of this or anything, he thinks that Winter Soldier, sorry, I'm going to blank on everybody's names. He believes that Winter Soldier actually was the one who killed his father during one of his bombings and everything. It turns out it was Zemo who did it, of course. Somehow this man has like infinite money. And it's never very well explained, even though he's supposed to kind of just be like a peasant kind of guy. But maybe they'll explain him in later movies. That's what I'm hoping. But Black Panther shows up. He's, of course, played by the guy who's supposed to be T'Challa, the king of Wakanda. Pardon me. And yes, he has basic wants. He just wants revenge because he believes the Winter Soldier killed his father. And it doesn't... at first it's kind of, but then he kind of talks more. You get to let this guy have his acting chops really show out because before his father dies, I think he had like 4, maybe 5 lines. And it's like, it's kind of, he just wants revenge, whoopee. But then you really get to see him like let him say what he feels and this and that, and you're like, all right, I kind of get this a lot more, and you begin to feel more for this guy, and you actually begin to go, yeah, you're Black Panther. And I will go ahead and say Black Panther is one of my other favorite characters I really love from Marvel series. The Black Panther storyline that happened in comic books and everything, or storyline, but the Black Panther comic books that happened during Civil War, I will say were one of the better Civil War crossovers, even though it was pretty much had Civil War tacked onto it because it just had to. But it was really good for them to make a character that I really enjoyed, bring him into the cinematic universe. Sure, kind of fumble him a little bit, then they went, all right, let's build it back better. And they made it work. I really felt for T'Challa. And also, he's not an idiot. He's a freaking brilliant man. And it's awesome to see him be that way. Because I'm so used to characters just being idiots for the sake of being idiots. Like Batman and Superman vs. Batman. And I hate to keep comparing these two, but it's going to happen. I mean, you have one movie about 2 famous heroes fighting each other. Another movie, famous heroes fighting each other. One is vastly superior, and that's the biggest thing. You can just go to one of and go, hey, look, yeah, you didn't do that at all right. And it's sad, especially whenever you see some of the source material they came from and that they fumbled so badly. But hey, that's Warner Bros. For you. They can't do a decent Green Lantern movie or Jonah Hex at all. I still don't know what the hell that movie was. I don't know why I'm that surprised by them not being able to do a good Batman movie or a good Superman movie anymore. Warner Bros. Fumbling does not surprise me. Disney fumbling would be a bit of a surprise. And thankfully, though, Captain America Civil War is not a fumble. It is catch, maybe kind of a little stumble because somebody's trying to grab your ankle, then they just run it in for a touchdown. They don't give a shit. Like I said, maybe you could give a little issues here or there. Maybe some people are going to have issues with the fact it is a longer movie. But I don't think it's long to the point where you're just going to be bored with it. I think any moment I start to feel like, all right, you're kind of losing me up. No, you pulled me right back, just deep into it. Anytime that started happening, it's like I said, just pulled right back in. And instantly, and I stayed with it, and it was just fun. It was good. It told such a great story. I was so engrossed with this movie. I loved just about every second of this movie. And it was surprising because at first I was like, this is a good movie. It's not the greatest movie. Then it started, okay, this is a great movie. It's not I love it movie. I love this movie. I want to marry the movie. And that's how I felt by the end of it. I'm like, this is a movie I will say that it maybe is a little to get into, but you're going to love it. Give yourself 10-15 minutes to really get into this. You're going to enjoy the shit out of this. I don't know who's going to sit there and just pick this apart. Maybe somebody's going to try and do science and this and that. If you're that kind of person, you shouldn't be going to see movies. You're not going to enjoy anything. And honestly, this is one of those movies that it doesn't feel like it's talking down to anybody. And I enjoy the shit out of that. I enjoy that I really felt for all of these characters. I didn't want to see anybody get hurt. This was one of the movies like I was saying, I'm going to instantly just want Cap to win. And by the end of it, I was like, I don't want anybody to win. I don't want anybody to lose, though. And that's a sign of a great storytelling. That's a sign of really taking your source material and somehow elevating it. Especially considering the Civil War storyline was a bit of a mess. Everybody agrees to that. Even the editors agreed that it was a bit of a mess. So to be able to take a messy storyline, change it, make a slight little stumble, and then a massively improved storyline, that is just astounding. especially to somebody who wants to eventually aspire to possibly write my own movies. I would love to be able to do anything as good as what they did. So Russo Brothers. I look forward even more to Avengers Infinity War, not just because it has Avengers in the name, but also because it has your name at the bottom. Well, names. Let me go ahead and put it that way. So, like I said, glowing review. I fucking love this movie. Its score, of course, I have to give it, as you would probably expect, a solid 10. I know that seems like, oh, it's perfect, that means it's a perfect movie. To me, no movie is going to be perfect. There's always going to be flaws. Even my most favorite film of all time so far, still currently, I think District 9's still up there. I know some people are like, District 9's... I still love District 9. It was such a breath of fresh air. I still watch it today and still go, I can't believe that he thought of that. I never would have thought of that. I know some people, I thought of it. Yeah, you thought of it in 2016. You didn't think of it in 2010 or 2009 when that movie was made. That's neither here nor there. I'm not going to get into that tangent because we've already had enough of them. But this is not a perfect movie, but it is so close to a perfect movie. Maybe if they had slight more explanations of Zemo or gave more of him, maybe more of his backstory, I would have loved it. Just like, oh God, I'm going to have to be buried with this. Like I said, you can say maybe it's the rantings of a fanboy, but I'd say go check it out. Yeah, this movie's going to be number one. I mean, it didn't even need my glowing review to have that. But this movie is worth every dime of it. Except for one thing. Do not go see it in 3D. It does not add anything to the movie to go see it in 3D. I will say it's the only way to see it in IMAX, and it was a gorgeous sounding movie. There's just stuff coming from behind, it's like this and that, and it sounded and looked beautiful, but the 3D added nothing to it. I mean, maybe sometimes, oh look, you can see the depth more. I don't give a shit. Didn't add anything to the movie. It was worse, or no, it wasn't worse than Ratchet and Clank, because Ratchet and Clank at times just wasn't even 3D except for like a few scenes. It was just weird. But it's as useless as the 3D that was in Ratchet and Clank. It doesn't add anything to it. But that can't detract from a movie, because the movie wasn't really meant to be a 3D movie. It just pretty much had 3D tacked onto it, because Disney thinks any IMAX movie needs to be 3D. That's Disney for you. That's a whole other kettle of fish to dig into. But hey, I will say, go see Captain America Civil War. Go see it now. I'm pretty sure theaters are playing it like non-stop, and they should. It's a fantastic movie. You are going to be hard-pressed to find a better comic book movie this year. And that includes even Deadpool, which I thought, again, was a fantastic movie. So, eventually by the end of this year, I'm going to have some issues trying to decide which was the best movie this year. But hey, I would rather have issues trying to figure out which was the best movie over which was a worst pile of crap. Which, unfortunately, right now, is one movie I can think of. And I've already mentioned it. Now, normally I would say it's like, oh, next week we'll see that. I'll be seeing this. There's not really much coming out next week. Like, the only one I can think of is The Money Monster. And really, I don't know if it's coming to my theater near me. And other people are like, oh, it's on a wide release. Yeah, but sometimes we don't get stuff over here. Just sometimes some movies miss us. Like, Jonah Hex was one. It just didn't play here at all. And of course, Jonah Hex wasn't very good, but still, it wasn't here. Like Green Lantern, I think, was only here for like a couple weeks, even though Green Lantern was around for longer than that. So maybe there's going to be Money Monster next week, but I do know that somebody is going to be off from work, so hopefully next week we can have a second opinion on Captain America Civil War, because why not? Why don't I go see the movie a second time? Because I loved it so much. And I think Megan really does need to see it. So, why not? We'll go see that. And maybe Money Monster will also come out as well. Oh, and I might go see that. I don't know, but definitely we should have next week Megan's opinion on Captain America Civil War. Till then, See y'all.